Welcome to Surrender School.
Okay, let's start with the mission statement. At Surrender School, we recover. Our mission is to share 12-step and other supportive recovery solutions with those who want a healthy relationship with food. We are not an official 12-step meeting, but we do adhere to the spirit of the traditions. All right, so we're not an official 12-step meeting, but we do adhere to the spirit of the traditions because we're all from 12-step. And there's a rich history of 12-step tradition in Surrender School. Everything that we offer and have offered for the last 3 years is on the website. So you'll want to check it out. And once again, it's surrenderschool.org. That's where the links to all the meetings are. It's all of that. We do have 2 meeting rooms now. And so don't forget to check to see which one. If you always join by going out to the website and click on the link that says instructions for whatever, there's a link there and you can click that every time. And that's pretty simple to do. And then watch the chat today. One of the things that we do other than new things is the chats go out to kind of explain all the things that we do that are currently going on. And that's because it used to take us, 10, 12 minutes to get through everything, which is kind of cool, actually. But anyway, instead of doing that, now we send chats about that. The B is here because if there is a B in front of your name that Lori has put in front of your name, it means that we anticipate that you will be a breakout room leader. If you would prefer not to do that, reach out to Lori or Kathy M and let them know that today you don't want to do this. Once again, thank you for your service, those that lead the breakout rooms. It's awesome. It's going to be relatively short today. Don't anybody be afraid about what we're sharing because it's just going to be kind of an easy share, almost like a discussion kind of thing. So that works out well. Here are some things that we are offering right now. Abstinence and Recovery is Mondays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And Scarlett H is leading. This is the Abstinence and Recovery that Linda did in May, 30 meetings in 30 days, except now it's once a week. And you watch the recording, write a little bit, and share. So that's awesome. The Emotional Sobriety book, we're reading that again, and Kim and Dave lead that on Friday mornings. That started on August 1st, and it's at 8 a.m., 8 to 9 Pacific time. The Intuitive Eating Workshop is on Saturdays at 9 a.m. And that's by Samantha Conboy, who does this for a living. And she's doing it for Surrender School for free, which is just an awesome thing for her to do for us, which we appreciate very much. And then there is a new book study with Amber that begins October 5th, and that's going to be on Sundays from 9 to 10. So it's, except it's on Zoom room too, but it's from 9 to 10. And then of course, we'll be doing something here from 10:30 to probably noon. Okay, anyway, that is Build Yourself Up Without Limits. So it's a book study, which means you read it on your own and then kind of discuss the topics that are inside of that. And then, of course, these sessions now for Supercharge, each of the last, so 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all 3 weeks long instead of 4 weeks long. So we will be finished with this by November 16th is our final day of the Supercharge. And then we'll do something, I'm not sure what. I was going to do forgiveness, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't particularly like the book, and I don't like to lead anything on something, a book I don't particularly like. So I'll come up with something, but we'll do something from the 23rd of November to the end of the year before we begin the Supercharge again, probably January, February timeframe. And it'll be shrunk down a little bit and more kind of together than it has been. A lot of the stuff I taught wasn't, anyway, don't worry about that. Cheryl, don't worry about that. Anyway, it'll be tighter. I'll say it that way. All right, so this is what we're covering the rest of the times here. Richard has volunteered to teach the harmonic groups and the Hornavian groups, which I'm very excited that he's going to do that. If there's anything else that's up here that you would like to participate in teaching a part of, that would be great. That would be wonderful. I'm really thankful to Richard for offering to do that. I think that'll be good because we want everybody as involved as you're willing to be, which is cool. Let's take a moment to feel our breath going in and out and to feel your feet on the floor. You live in the present, so let's be present. All right, let's say the Surrender School set-aside prayer together. God, help me to set aside everything I think I know to leave space for what I have yet to learn. Once again, the goal of this course is a personal journey. Our focus is to help you understand the relationship between your false self, that ego self, and your true self, and to treat yourself with unrelenting compassion because you are human. All right, some things to keep in mind. I'm not an expert. We are working the steps by type. So if you haven't obviously take the test, I think everybody here has taken the test and has been working the steps by type. All right, we do believe that self-contempt stops or at least stalls out spiritual growth. So that's one of the reasons that we continually talk about compassion for yourself and other people. We do believe if you do the work, your recovery will be supercharged. And a reminder, lots of things you can be in the world. We ask that you be kind to yourself and to other people as well. Okay, I always have this slide up because inquiry is another way for questions, and there's questions that we're asking you to answer. And that's because when you start really deeply answering questions, what will happen is you will begin to see your patterns as patterns, and your projections are the stories you tell yourself as stories you tell yourself. And once you see the patterns, and once you see, oh, this is a story I'm telling myself, that's when they begin to dissipate. That is what happens when you start seeing those patterns, is that's what allows your greater power to help them dissipate. I don't believe they ever disappear, but they will dissipate for sure. I am going to read this because this is the step 9 promises. And of all the work that we've been doing, this is what we have been doing it for, I guess is the way to say it. If we are painstaking through this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. I want to cover some of the specifics here. Literally, every sentence could be a session or 2 or 3 by themselves, but I want to talk just about a couple of things that hit me as I was going through. The idea of knowing a new freedom and a new happiness, that's almost inexpressible. To be able to have the freedom, and the step 10 promises, which we'll come to in the coming weeks, talk about we stop fighting everything, right? There's a freedom from this, because once again, what we resist persists, right? So there's this sense of knowing, understand. It doesn't mean you constantly feel free and happy. That doesn't work that way. But to have this new freedom and a new happiness. The next thing I want to talk about is we see how our experience can benefit others, right? That ties specifically to step 12, by the way. But we do go, oh, okay, when I share this, this can help other people, which is cool. All right. I want to talk for a second about self-seeking. And I don't say self-seeking, I say self-seeking, because a lot of people think this basically means the same thing as being selfish, and it does not at all. Self-seeking means that I am seeking myself in other people. And 2s, 3s, and 4s do this all the time. You will seek validation or even a sense of who you are from other people. And this says self-seeking will slip away. This will no longer be what you do if it's what you did in the past, right? Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change, which I absolutely love. And then we intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We watch ourselves. Once again, the observer is super important. We watch ourselves and go, hey, I handled that really well. In my case, hey, I didn't even get in that person's face. This is amazing. Right? All right. And then God is doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. And I feel so strongly this way. It's just about food and my use of food. I can't change that. So God is changing that for me because I sure as hell cannot do it. All right. And then finally, at the very bottom, they will always is double underlined. They will always materialize if we work for them. That's why we are doing all this work and our greater power can come in and change us. That is the way the 12 steps work. And I was talking earlier to Kathy C, and that's one of the things. It's like we get through 9 and go, and then 10, 11, 12 just kind of sit out there. I'm very excited for 10, 11, and 12 because it's where we live. If we once we've done all this work, where we can live is 10, 11, and 12, which is a blessed way to live your life, just an amazing way. That's where you sense and feel the freedom and happiness, and you help other people, and you don't seek yourself in other people, right? You're handling situations differently. God is doing all these things for you all the time. That's what happens when you do this. So this now, what I'd like to do is just talk for a little bit about how the promises have shown up in your life. Okay, so what I want to do now is for people to share on how have the step 9 promises shown up in your life. I refuse to believe they have not shown up in your life. I will not believe that. I think they absolutely have shown up in your life because many of you have been in the 12 steps for a long, long time. Let me think of a way that they show up. Oh, go ahead, Melissa.
The one that I've always loved this since I was a little baby in recovery at 21. I always loved this part in the meetings because it gave me hope. They were like prayers and promises of how life could be. And at first it's hard to believe that could actually be the case. And they come on their own timeline as we do the work when you're least expecting it. So for me, the one that it has a lot of meaning right now is we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Nothing will I regret because I look at a lot of the things that I caused pain, where I caused pain or pain was caused to me. I look at it like it was truly for my growth. I couldn't have benefited in any other way, even through that pain. Weirdly, it really was a humongous wake up call and ultimately drove me more and more into the arms of my higher power, if you will. That sounds too woo woo, but that's how I feel. And so I don't regret the past. I don't walk on my knees. I don't sit there and grovel. I hope someday you'll think I'm good enough. No, I already know. I've been changed, forgiven. This is how I was. This is how I am. And I love that. That's strengthening. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, and it's that I used to be like this all the time, and now I'm rarely like this on these, right? That ego structure when it jumps up, right? And next week, actually, the end of today, I'm going to introduce the idea of the pause to you, right? So, anyway, I've talked about the pause a lot. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. But when we're in step 10, we're going to talk a lot about the pause. Joy, to you. Thank you, Melissa.
I'm going to just start with we are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. Okay, so I'm going to go way back. And even in program, I never felt like I fit in anywhere. I always felt like an oddball. I had very little confidence. I never spoke up. If Cher spoke meanly to me, no, just kidding. Type 8, right? No, but serious. I mean, there's actually some truth to that. If
It's
anybody,
truth to that.
if their words were in any way, shape, or form, I could take it personally and be offended. I would be. Mostly, I wouldn't say anything. And if I did, it was through crying. I could not ask for what I need from family or friends or from businesses. It would always be through crying. I think the most important thing is the fitting in. And I will say, until surrender school, until the time where surrender school became partly what it is today, where we have a board, where we're a nonprofit. That's when I began, and I started doing self-esteem work with my sponsor at the time. And all of these things that I do, even the recovery that I do today, pushes me toward being more comfortable in my skin. And I feel like I won't talk about all the others. All the others have come true, are coming true, but more and more, just being able to share the truth, making myself vulnerable, I fit in. And I will say that alone has been my dream of surrender school. Provide a place where every single people fit. And it's so weird Many programs out there, the goal is recovery. I do not, that was not my vision. The goal was to provide a place, a compassionate place for people to fit in. And what happened? I fit in. I've achieved the goal. And now the byproduct is people are recovering. And it is so beautiful. And it's because of the wonderful training. And we have more coming. I mean, some of you are going to step up as trainers. And we have it's just really, really cool and places to meet and be vulnerable. And I love you all. And I can't believe that I really feel like I fit in somewhere. Thanks.
Thank you, Joy. And I want to say just real quick, Joy and I are dear friends and have been dear friends for a long time, but it does not mean that we haven't had conflicts, because we have. One specific one, she was crying, and I basically said, hey, if you're going to cry, go talk to somebody else. So that's a 2 and an 8. But we remain dear friends. And that means, right, there's an acceptance of each other, there's a love of each other. Enneagram helped with that, I think, a lot. And also the fact that we have Surrender School and we can work on that. But just know that relationships can recover from like situations like that, right? So, and there was an amends in there somewhere. I remember cheering the first time she got back in my face. I'm like, yes, you're growing so much. This is awesome. Okay. All right. Thank you, Joy, so much. Cheryl, to you.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here today. And I'm also just so happy that I have something to share today. Oh, my goodness. Those promises, yes. I used to come to meetings for almost a year and not put my face on camera, and I couldn't give a share because of those darn insecurities, my low self-worth, my low self-esteem. So yay for the promises, yay for 12-step programs, yay for Surrender School. Also, in doing my step 4, I now have quote unquote a relationship with my sister. I don't really know how much a relationship is, but we say hi to each other. We say, how are you? She called and wished me happy anniversary yesterday. Thank you. Goodbye. I'm just happy that I don't have anger and resentments. And the last thing I wanted to say was about those promises that I just come to realize I am in the last part of my life. I mean, I'm not trying to rush it or anything, but it just feels like the last part of my life. I suppose since I'm over 60 years old, it is. And I don't want to go to my grave with resentments and anger. No way. I want to feel like I've had a good, peaceful, serene life. And thank you to everybody who's helped me to have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'm going to give you something else to think about. I can remember years ago, I said, I want to die peacefully. And then I want to die courageously. When I die, I want to die courageously. I'll say it that way. And God came back to me and said, how about you live courageously? How about you live that way, right? Which is what you're learning to do, right? Is that no, when it says the thing, we will know, we will understand serenity, we will know peace. And that's, even if it's just a glimmer of it, you have a glimmer of that. And once we see that, then it's like, then we can pursue that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Cheryl. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Richard, to you.
Thanks, Cher. Most of you, many of you anyway, know the what are called the virtues for each of the Enneagram types, and serenity is the one for type 1. In fact, I'm going to put a picture of it in the chat. Up until Surrender School, up until we started doing the steps, my self-righteousness was the way I perceived my self-righteousness, the way I received it, the way I embodied it was energizing. And that's, even though I'm getting there, but anyway, that's what it was for me. And and I saw that it charged me up, and that I needed to show that I was right and a lot of people were wrong. And now that I am letting go of that, oh my God, the calm that I now have, it wasn't energy, it was tension. It was harming me. And now I'm breathing better. And, and of course, type 1 is still a body type. Thanks, Ty. Appreciate that. But anyway, it's made a huge difference. And I'm moving towards serenity and calm, and just my body just feels better.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I think same, whatever is your deal, because mine is anger, same thing. That's what made me feel alive, right? And it's like, oh my God, it's poison, but it's making me feel alive. Seriously, right? And I feel the same way in surrender school. It's like that's the first time ever I've been able to just kind of, and it's not me letting it go. It's basically giving it to God and letting God take it. I don't want that, right? But before I saw it, I guess, but it was a positive in my life as opposed to a negative, or not even a negative. It's just like I don't need it, right? So I hear you completely, Richard. I completely agree with what you're saying. Thank you. Not that you matter, not that it matters whether I agree or not, but I do. Thank you, Richard. All right, Kathy C, to you.
Hi. Two things. One, I can see that God is doing for me what I could not do for myself. I remember years ago, I remember the situation, sitting in the car saying, I wish I could appreciate the world, God's world, nature more, because I went so fast. It didn't even occur to me to enjoy it. And today, in my quiet time, I sit and I appreciate. I have a blue jay that will come down and take peanuts. Uh, and I have red-headed woodpeckers that fly by, and little brown birds I appreciate. And so that is a change I could not make in myself. And I appreciate it a lot. The other thing is this. I have a sponsee who will not agree to let go everything in the past, even oh geez, somebody help. The willing to no matter how far down the scale I have gone, I will see how my experience can benefit others. And she says, I will never be there about my behavior with my children. And I don't know what to say to her. So I think I was hunting for a little help on that. With that, I'll pass.
Have you ever seen the movie The Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood?
No.
It's worth your time watching it, because this is a spoiler alert. There's a conversation toward the end of the movie where the mother says there are some things that are unforgivable, right? That or some things that she can't even begin to ask forgiveness for, right?
Uh-huh.
It's such a touching part of the movie, because her daughter forgives her anyway, whether she can ask for the forgiveness or not, right? That's a necessary growth for the daughter to be able to forgive, even if the mother can't. Now, I'm in a weird, I'm going to sound, well, I am a Christian, so I'm going to sound very Christian here. When I talk about I have been forgiven, and therefore I live a forgiven life. And so I feel for this woman that you're talking about, because if you cannot forgive yourself, it's virtually impossible to grow spiritually, because it's like this lid on top of any good thing that you can get. So it's almost like send her in the direction of somebody that can teach her to forgive herself, is what I would say. Really, there's so many resources out there that would help her do that. And really, because that, I mean, it is the thing that kills us. It is the thing that destroys our soul if we cannot forgive ourselves. Those of you that heard my story understand what I'm talking about. I live a forgiven life. And as a result, I must forgive other people. I mean, it's that there's a circle that is there. And so if she's serious about that and cannot, I mean, there are ways to learn to do that. Right.
Thank
And
you.
it's a killer. Yeah, Kathy, I feel so strongly, and I feel such sympathy for that, because I understand it. I lived like that for 30 years, right? Or 25 anyway. So I get it. Thank you for sharing that, Kathy. Really appreciate it. All right, Lori, to you. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, everyone, for your shares. I guess I'm just reading promises, as we do so often, but how it touched me today and what related was that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. And that's what stands out. I received all of these promises in program and continue to receive them through Surrender School. But that uselessness, I can't even say the word right, uselessness and self-pity was so strong. And as a 9, I just retreated into that more and more because I couldn't break through. And program has not only given me recovery and given me a reprieve from my food addiction, it's given me program to put my time and energy into, especially in retirement, which I sometimes wonder if I do too much or could do more. It's back and forth all the time. But it's what saves me. It's what's giving me my life, my joy, my the fellows, the friendships that I never had before. I never had friends until program, and I was 60 when I got serious in program and got that. So I feel useful now. If I can get the word right.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. So there is a book called the 9 and 12 workbook or something like that by Dr. Don Carroll, and it's Enneagram and 12 step. And he has a section where he has the step 9 promises, and each of those promises he ties to a type. It's really interesting, I think. I'm with you, Lori. I feel like I've got all of them, but I mean, so what will happen is different ones will resonate with you because of type, which I never thought about before, but it's absolutely true. But I feel like I've gotten all of them. There's not even one of them that I have not experienced in my life, which is such a blessing. And the step 10 promises are just as good, if not better. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Lori. All right, Jim, to you.
Thanks, Sheila. Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to I need to go back on the page to look at these promises. I know that where I am today, if it wasn't for the promises or achieving the goals through the steps that have led to me realizing that I've reached a particular stage that lets me relate to the promises and the achievements that they reflect back to me. I hadn't had the people that I've shared with over the past year, the reading I've done over the past year, the feedback that I've had over the past year, then I know that I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's a lot of growth for me. Although I may have had desire to be where I am, it wouldn't have been enough. I needed to unburden myself of a lot of, and it's through the work that I've done with so many people through Surrender School that I've learned a new freedom and a new happiness. Got happiness because I've achieved what I've wanted to do for practically half of my life. Return to the space where I am. Because of the feedback from the person that I share with, in terms of the letter that I wrote for step 9 and the feedback that I got, I've rewritten the letter. It's really just a lot of editing, taking words out, putting words in. And as I was writing it, I discovered that I'm happy about certain things in the past. So that's not having a regret for the past, not shutting the door on it by accepting that there were happy moments. Although there were lots of difficult moments, there were happy moments. And I'm now recognizing this.
Yeah.
Serenity, peace. Yeah, I've had a lot of spiritual growth. And that's not in addition to being with the people that I've been with over the past year. That's where my spiritual growth has been 1,000%. I may have took tentative steps towards spiritual growth But the people I've been with over the past year, they said the spiritual growth has increased exponentially beyond
Yep.
my imagination.
Awesome.
How can my experience benefit others? I think it can eventually. Where I am at the moment, there is a student nightlife, night time. It's like a call center for students who are in trouble, who have brought emotional baggage with them, and they're finding the transition quite difficult, and so on. And I'm going to join this group, and so I'll be giving back a little. Self-pity. Didn't realize I had self-pity. I really didn't. It's going. And although I may be economically insecure, I accept that. The economic insecurity isn't so bad that it is preventing me being where I am today, because I have to self-fund. So I accept the economic security, and I'm trying to make positive steps, even though I have this economic insecurity. I hope one day it will leave me, but presently, as things are, I'm still in a good place. And I realize every day that I have to thank my higher power, and I do thank my higher power for allowing me to get to the point where I am today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. And I thank you. And I want to say, it's the fear of economic insecurity that will leave you, not the economic insecurity, which kind of sucks a little bit, but that is what will leave you, because even in economic insecurity, we can show up, right? Which is awesome. We can absolutely. The other thing I want to say is, when people here share, you already are sharing your experience with us. It helps us. Every single person that shares helps us across the board. Absolutely does. So Jim, it's good to see you. I'm so glad you're here, I have to say, and that I consider you a friend, and I'm very, very happy that you're back. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Jasmine, to you.
So, the one about losing interest in selfish things stood out for me, because I was just so self-centered at first, still am, but seriously, like, it was ridiculous. I grew up around self-centered people, and I didn't realize how selfish I could be. Yeah, so basically, I've noticed I have more of a heart of service now. I really enjoy the act of being of service, of giving all of me, using every part of my body to carry out God's will for me day by day. And it seems to work out a whole lot better than my own will. So I love it. And then I also thought about, this isn't on there, but when you say, sometimes I think about you when you say you have to be relentlessly passionate, relentlessly. Now, I'm not relentlessly, but I'm a heck of a lot better than self-interest like I used to be. So
yeah,
it's just been an amazing program, and I'm glad I found you guys.
Thank you, Jasmine. So glad you're here. And I will say, none of us are, even though I'm saying relentlessly, it doesn't mean constant, because it can't be, because we're human, right? But man, I'm telling you, I catch myself. It's like, what the hell are you doing? You're going back to this old habit of beating yourself up over stuff? No, you're human, right? And yeah, and even with that, like, oh, stop. We all do that. We just do. It is absolutely human nature. That's why it's so important that the observer observes and says stop, right? Because sometimes we ourselves cannot do that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Relentless compassion. Now, can we achieve that? Probably not, but that's okay, because we're moving in that direction. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Love you. All right, Vera, to you.
Hi. So to be honest, I've been sitting in meetings for years, and when I listen to the question, are these extravagant promises? I think to myself, yes, and they haven't materialized. And I think that something happened recently, I think some months ago. And I don't know whether it's because this is a really powerful process, the Enneagram, and the fact that we're doing it on a consistent basis every week, and that we're doing it together, and that we're doing it with direction. Because for the life of me, direction was something that always eluded me in the steps. And I guess because I'm, as a 7, I have the literal monkey mind. I jump from one thing to one project to the next. And it's like, through this process, I've been finding this awareness. I know self-knowledge does nothing for my recovery. I mean, in terms of why this is so, really does nothing. But the awareness of the specifics, of the specific characteristics is just being born, I guess, you know, and I see myself from the observer, as you say, and I find that there is this sense of humor, not just towards myself, but when I see other people, and I think they're, my daughter that is a 4, and my other son, my son that is a, and I kind of start seeing where they're coming from, and I thank God for this sense of humor, because it was that critic, that inner critic, like, why can't you just focus on something and then be happy when you get it, instead of then wanting something else and something else and something else. And it's and this is a very, very powerful process, I think. Surrender schools are really powerful. Every week, 52 weeks, and the consistency, much more than the consistency, and the fact that we're doing it with direction and that we're doing it together is miraculous. And it's a mystery. I don't really know how this works, but it does. And it's working after a long time.
So Vera, I hear you. And yeah, I don't know how it works either, but I will tell you a big part of it is that we love you and we accept you as you are. And so often we're all trying to change ourselves, or we feel unacceptable because frankly, in the world, we're not acceptable in some form or other. And what happens here is just complete acceptance. You're a 7. It's what you do. It's the way you're wired. We accept that. And then what happens is we learn to accept ourselves as well. And I will say, moving from the angry person that I used to be to the semi-angry person that I tried not to show to the person that really isn't angry most of the time, right, has been an evolution that has happened. And that last change came from being friends with Joy and Cynthia. It came from being friends with you guys. It came from working in surrender school, because it's like, oh, I don't need that energy that Richard was talking about. I don't want that in my life. I don't need that in my life. And then my greater power removed it. I can't tell you how that happened. I have no fucking clue how that happened, but it did. And I'm really happy it did, right? But I think it comes from acceptance. I think the fact that absolutely, Vera, that you are loved here and you're accepted exactly as you are. No one expects perfection from anybody here, which I personally really appreciate. It's really funny. Like most people showed up relatively late. I mean, just before it started, right? And I was talking to Lori and Kathy C, and I was like, maybe this is the day no one will show up, right? Like I've gone too far, and this will be the day nobody shows up. I have those thoughts. Like, what can I say? Thank you, Vera, for sure.
And here we are, the 40 of us.
That's right, exactly. Thank you. All right, Teresa, to you. Then we'll do Tamara, and then we'll do Carmen, and then we'll do Lauren, and then we'll wrap up this section. This is why, Shirley, I can't know when things are going to happen, because if there's a lot of shares, it moves it later. Okay, so Teresa, to you.
Yes, hi, thank you. I think this is the only thing that I really stuck out and show up, with commitment. I always had a problem with commitment, but I have to say, I can't wait to get in here, whether I'm in my car, which I am a lot, but you know what? I just can't wait to come here. It's like, it's like a family. I've never felt so accepted and, not in fear of being and finding who I really am and not afraid to express it. But the promises, I was just looking at them again, and there's a lot of them in there that I didn't think are happening, but they are, maybe like different times. But the forgiveness thing, that's like a big thing, but I'm learning to forgive, even if the other person never asks for forgiveness. I think like you were saying, Sherry, I'm forgiven. So I need to forgive, others, but without expectations now. Like I don't have those expectations because, I tested the waters a little bit, and, my brother, they didn't change at all, but I know when to walk away now. I know, don't respond. I know the patterns, and I know my pattern, and I'm not doing that old pattern. It's not affecting me like it used to. So
And isn't your ability to not stand in the pattern? I mean, the fact it's really fascinating because we recognize the pattern. That's the first part. We see it and go, oh, this is a pattern. And then the next piece of growth is I'm not doing the pattern. That's the reason we do a racket sheet. There's some reason I keep doing that pattern. It's serving me in some way. How is it serving me? And then once we see that, then we can start to change. And once again, it's much more gradual than we imagine. I mean, Michael Naylor talks about the fact that this is a lifetime of change, right? I'm an 8 and I'm like, ain't no way. I got 2 months, right? It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. So it is a lifetime of change where that happens. And so my sponsor used to say, we see our growth in the rear view mirror. So while it's happening, usually we don't see the growth, but then we can look back and go, wait a minute, I used to be like this all the time, and now I'm mostly not like this, whatever this is. Like for the two, right? You see those things so clearly. So awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
just one thing, and then I'll let someone else go quickly. I just saw my other brother, the one that's going through the prostate situation now, and I found myself like, he's not even asking me. He's like, you have a lot on your plate, Terry, and I'll say, can I help you, Lenny? And I'm doing it. And he's saying, no, it's okay. You have a lot that you're dealing with. And I had to really stop myself to say, okay, okay, you got this, I'm praying for you, and then walk away.
Awesome. See, that's great. That's wonderful. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. Good to
Thank
hear.
you.
That's awesome. Tamara, to you, and then Carmen, and then Lauren, and then we'll be done. Go ahead, Tamara.
All right. So I'm going to read my notes anyway, so the thing that stood out for me was we will intuitively know how to handle situations, which used to baffle us. Before, my intuition was what I knew others needed to do in their lives to be better and less frustrating in my life. Now, and I spent years trying to help them get smarter and understand, just see the light and truly and so sincerely, just like they just can't see this. That's why they're doing these things. And so now when I notice the discomfort of them, I can move more often to that pause and consider what I can do to change in my perspective and attitude in ways that give me more serenity and peace. And really getting that as my goal instead of fixing the world. It's like, no, what do I need to do to feel more peaceful? And really not just, do an 8 move, but a true peace. And so also doing this impacts my self-pity by lessening it, because then I have empowerment, right? And I see the value, also I see the value of the past, so regret of it diminishes. And when I misstep, I recognize it, and I want to make amends in real time. It happened to me this weekend. I won't go into the details, but I was with somebody, something happened, I didn't have bandwidth, I didn't show up as my best self. The next day we were together again, and I just started off. I said, hey, I want to start today off with this. And so that was great. I mean, it was a mutual thing, but I took my side, like they say, keep the fact that I can even remember these little phrases. I've been here a while, I guess, keep my own side, clean up my own side of the street. And I'm also better able to restrain myself from jumping to fix it mode. My daughter has, I think I'm helping her figure out, it might be something, there might be a common cause for all these things that are going on with her, but I'm not totally jumping in and ignoring my own life to fix it. So that's what came out for me on this.
Awesome. And I want to say, Tamara, too, you just gave an example of what it feels like to live in step 10. That's exactly what it feels like, right? Because it doesn't mean that, birds are singing rainbows, maybe some days, but most days, no, right? What happens is we see it and go, ooh, okay, I owe an amends for that. And we take care of it. We live cleanly. Doesn't mean we live perfectly, because we can't, but we live cleanly. So awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, go ahead.
A couple days ago, I saw someone, I think it might have been Maria, or I can't remember who, posted the pause poem that I had posted a while back that I pulled off of a meditation app, that somebody's comment, and I just made it into a pause. That was so wonderful. But again, when I started passing that thing out, it was about me helping people no, have to take the pause. You know, here's this for you. And now it's like, oh no, let's just focus
It's
on doing that. So anyway, thank you very much.
That's awesome. And that's what happens with me too. It's like, oh, here, this is for me. The
Yes,
reflection. Thank you. Thank you, Tamara. All right, Carmen, to you.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here today. I've always loved all of the promises. And the one that really jumped out at me this morning was we will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. And I have to say, there was a time not that long ago that I really couldn't even define specific situations that baffled me. I just knew I was really uncomfortable. I was depressed, I was unhappy. And as a 9, I was just running away from stuff, not dealing with it, which of course just exacerbated all of that. And today, because of the Enneagram, I really believe that I've been taken to a much deeper understanding of the person that I am, the number 9 that I am. And I got a lot from working many 12 steps over the years. And this is the part that I really, really needed so that I could make changes in my life, so that I could trust that I can go to my higher power and get help with things and that I will be okay. And that's a big, huge deal for me. I'm sitting here 4 days out from my hip replacement. Yes.
Yay.
And that was hard for me because I got some conflicting opinions from professional people. And I knew in the end, I just had to make a decision. And I went to God with it. And I knew that this was not the time to be a typical 9 and just delay things. I'm so happy, I'm happy I made this decision. I'm so happy that I feel so much more peaceful, so much. It's like I am, and everything else around me is right. And I really love that. And thank you to the Enneagrams and everybody who has shared so much. I learned so much from everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carmen. That's awesome. Lauren, to you.
So I think what I wanted to share on that one too. Intuitively knowing how to handle a situation. It feels like every conversation with the person who lives upstairs is difficult, even when it's something she requested, something I waited on it for a year. So without going into the details, I've taken the other approach, which was recommended to me, but that person misses that. It works for her. It's not going to work for me. I'm really her landlord. Anytime I'm going to come to her, anyway, so I got, I knew to decipher. If anybody knows Jefferson Fisher, right? He's a lawyer that gives out difficult conversation. And I was like, okay, I'm taking his advice this time, to give it a framework, to put some bumper guards on it. And every time the listicle comes back of I don't understand this and confusing and trying to put, I just shortly and sweetly, instead of going into over explaining and it was like the batter up, it just came back again. And I'd be like, how can I keep this simple? And so it was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely better. And it's, a couple of the things are being taken care of. And otherwise it's just avoidance land, which is all around me. Anyways, that's all.
Thank you, Lauren. All right. So let me share my screen again and we will move on here. Thank you. So many people shared. This is awesome. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it very much. All right. Okay. All right. So one step 9 requirement, by the way, as we do step 1, is that we do no harm, that we can't harm the other person. And I've talked a little bit about this in the past couple of weeks, right? And basically, when it boils right down to it, check your motives. If your motive is to make yourself feel better, and it isn't about cleaning up your side of the street, I put don't dump and run, where you just basically say, and then and Richard, when you talk about the drive-by a couple of weeks ago, you talked about the drive-by, sorry, and then they drove off, right? You don't do that because really and truly, a really deep step 9 not only heals your side of the street, but would, if possible, help to heal them because the other person feels like there's meaning and they feel listened to, or they feel, I don't know, taken care of, or they feel cared for. It makes them feel right. It's not your job to do that, but that's one of the nice outcomes of that. And I do want to talk about one way to do that, and especially for those with the deep feelings, Your feelings are not that person's problem. Your feelings, when you have them, are an opportunity for you to learn, for you to look at yourself and say, okay, where are these feelings coming from? And once again, feelings are not facts, right? They're real. They're absolutely real, but they're not facts. So that's one of the things is when you have these strong feelings that come up, we're going to talk about the pause here in the coming weeks. But when you have those feelings that come up, then ask yourself, check your motives. I want to tell this person, do I want to tell them so I feel better? Am I cleaning something up of mine? And then also, if there's strong feelings that are there, that's your opportunity to take a look at this and see where are these strong feelings coming from. I love this. Do no harm and take no shit. This is the postscript. I have that one that says, that the purpose of life is this and blah, blah, blah. This, by the way, the do no harm, take no shit is Linda T's. I love it. I would steal it, but then I would feel like I was stealing. But I love this because doing no harm doesn't mean that you take all the shit in the world. Doesn't mean you do that. So do no harm, take no shit. That should be the 8, right? And Linda T is a 6. But anyway, okay. We are going to go into the breakout room, and here is what I'd like you to share on. You can pretty much share on anything, but this is at least the design here, is to share the prayer that you use or will use as you prepare to give your amends. I certainly recommend that you pray before you give an amends, just to be, for me, I pray that I don't show up with so much energy that they're like, what is going on here? That's my prayer is tied to that. But out there, you read the promises, and you can share on the promises too if you feel more comfortable sharing how you've seen the promises on a smaller group. You're welcome to do that if you'd like. Or you can share on the prayer if you've done some work on the prayer. So we're going to go to the breakout rooms now. Lori, are you ready in the or Kathy M, are you ready on the breakout rooms?
Yep, we sure are.
Welcome back. I want to read this real quick because I want to talk about the pause. When in doubt, we pause. That's from the big book. Bill W. talks about when in doubt, we pause for the next right thought or action. And I've talked, I know, through the whole year, I'm sure, quite a bit about the pause, but I want to read this. When in doubt, we pause is an admonition to take a moment to stop and reflect rather than react impulsively when uncertain. This intentional pause allows for clearer thinking, better decision-making, and emotional regulation by creating space between stimulus and a response. By pausing, you can calm the mind, gather the thoughts, and choose a response that serves you and prevents future regrets, which for us means basically an amends, whether you're feeling stressed, angry, tired, or simply unsure. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do, if you don't mind, I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to do just a simple little exercise. So everybody just kind of relax, close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you are on a small boat in the middle of an ocean, and that boat is a whale watching boat. And you're all standing around talking, telling stories, doing whatever you do because it's a beautiful day, and you're all sitting there. And one of the employees of the whale watching boat says, "Whales, I see whales." What I want you to picture is everyone goes silent and everyone is watching the water to see the whales. Every single person is watching the water. And suddenly you see the tail of a whale and up it jumps, and everybody, some people cry, some people stand in amazement. Okay, what I want you to think about is, were you able, when you were waiting for that whale to show itself, were you able to wait? Were you able to pause and wait for the whale to come up? If you were able to do that, that means you have the ability to pause, which is what you want, right? Is the ability to pause and wait for, right? And once again, Michael Naylor talks about, and I quote him because I think he's very wise, it's like that ego structure jumps up without our permission. And if we can have the pause between stimulus and response, if we can have that, then that means that we are absolutely able to intercept that. Whatever the response is that we don't want, we can intercept that. I know a lot of you have, I'm sure, experience in that, because we all have. We see that. That's part of the observation. We see that. So we're going to be talking in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about how do we enact the pause. And by the way, I want to say, if you've ever been whale watching, when the employee does see a whale, the entire ship goes silent. Even the people that talk nonstop. My sister's one of those people that talks nonstop, right? And even she goes completely silent, and you're so focused on seeing that whale. And that's if you can do that, that means you have the ability to pause before you act. You can add that pause between stimulus and response. And the next 3 weeks, we are going to be talking about how do I make sure that I have that pause, because that allows, and I'm going to quote Alan Berger here, the best of us to run the rest of us. And that's what we want. Okay, so I'm just going to open it for shares. We're sitting at about 5 till noon. So at about noon, we'll shut off the recording and share for like another half an hour if anybody wants to do that. All right, Rosalind, to you.
I'm going to always see whales when I need to pause.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Shira. These promises that we've entered into, I mean, they're coming true for me. As I shared in the break room, I haven't got my prayer yet, but the promises have, I don't wish to shut the door on anything. I cease fighting anything and anybody. I just want that peace that comes as the result of working the steps. And it is truly coming to light. So that's all I want to share. Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, Rosalind. And the cool part is, it isn't us that's doing it. We're doing the work, certainly. And it's like in doing the work, our greater power sees our willingness to change, right? And then our greater power helps us change or changes us, right? Things I could never do myself. I mean, I had given up long ago on being able to make any of these changes. But because I'm willing to do the work, God says, oh, okay, let's change, Cheryl, for the good, right?
And that's the main, that is the main point. You said it, being willing to do the work. Because I was
right.
half stepping, two-stepping, and now I'm really willing to do the work, and I'm seeing those changes. So thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah, you bet. And I do think, I mean, the way the world works, right? This is part of reality. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. It's the way it works, right? And so, and once again, that's not an indictment. If you didn't have a chance or opportunity or not in the place to put a lot of work in, it's okay. Just know that putting a lot of work gets a lot of benefit out of it, right? It's just reality, the way it works. Thank you. All right, Teresa, to you.
Yeah, the way high power God speaks through me lately, it kind of like, it's so deep, because I was in a store before anything with the whale thing, right? And this is happening a lot to me. People were talking about that they went whale watching. This morning, I don't know if it was on here, there's a reading that I got this morning on whales. And now you're talking about whales. So can I read this quickly? This
Sure.
fast post that was, I don't know who posted it, but this kind of stuff blows me away. And I know that it's God, higher power speaking. And I was thinking today that I should, when I heard these people in the store talking, that I should go and plan a trip. It's near me out east, but I'm going to read this real fast. I don't get this stuff. It's mind blowing. September 13th, wisdom creatures. Show yourself and I will swim to you. As spirits and bodies, we live like whales or dolphins, always swimming near the surface, forever compelled by a light from above that we can really make out. And just as the water brushes against the eyes of these fish as they make their way in and out of the deep, the days shape how we see. So much is going on at any one time beneath what we show the world, that all our feelings, all our thoughts and expressions splash like water on those we surfaced before. In this way, every person, when looked squarely in the eyes, is wisdom creature full of things that cannot be said. Each of us spirit fish breaking through for love and air. Last paragraph. We often don't take the risk or time to stand before another long enough to see the truth to surface. This is what I need, for you to wait till I get there, all fresh from the deep. After all the trouble we go through to find each other, we must wait over and over for our loved ones to break through with their wisdom. Any input, like, it's very powerful. I can't explain. This happens a lot. It's almost like God's wisdom, and I know it, but it just is so powerful. I'm going to go whale watching, I guess.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank
And
you.
I think that is Mark Nepo. And actually I read that, and that's what made me choose that metaphor. Because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, whale watching is like everyone. It's about the only place I've ever been where everyone was silent. Like everyone, even the people, even the sales guys in the middle of a joke, silent, right? Wait, just like there's an unbelievable pause waiting for the whale to come up. Yeah. So, I mean, and I think and for me, and this is what was eye-opening for me as I'm reading that, I'm like, yes, that, because some days I'm really good at pause and some days I'm not. So, and on the days I'm not, it's like this whale thing, I think will help me, because I'm waiting for, especially because I'm waiting for this person to, like, for them to break through the deep. I am waiting for that. And so, yeah, I thank you for sharing that, Teresa. I think that's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Maria, thank you, Teresa. Maria, to you.
So, Maria Gretti, I'm a 2. So my 2-ness can generally take the pause. It suddenly dawned on me, actually, not always, of course, because inside lots of things may be happening, but on the outside, I can keep it together. And that serves me well at times, unless I'm going into trauma reactions and responses, of course. So, and the story of the whale, well, clearly I was feeling a little impatient today because I was seeing not only whales with immediate effect, playing and leaping around, but dolphins joining them. So, and I knew the story was escalating. So, yeah. Something I like in internal family systems that speaks to me, and I'm going to start practicing more, is the 8 C's, which is applying the pause: calmness, curiosity, clarity, compassion, confidence, courage, creativity, and connectedness.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much. All right, Binti, to you.
Hi, I just want to share a whale story, if I may. I went with my daughter a few years ago now. We went to the Baja California, the lagoon down there. It's part of Mexico. And we had to leave at about 4:00 in the morning to go there. And we got in this little boat. We went out in the lagoon, and the mother whale is where they have the babies, and the mother whale came under the boat, and we could see her either side. We're just a tiny boat, either side of the boat, and she just stayed quite still under the boat. It's the pause. It is a pause. I promise. And then the baby came up at the side of the boat, and I'll never forget the eye. I will never forget the eye, looking into that baby's eye. And we could stroke the baby's face and stroke around its eye and put our hands in its mouth. And my daughter, it's one of the most significant experiences she's had in her life. But it was, I just wanted to share it. I remembered it when you were talking. Yeah.
That is awesome. And something like fewer than 1% of people in the world ever see a whale in person. Like this very, very tiny part of the world that gets to actually see one. And I think infinitesimal that can touch one. So,
And then when she knew, the mother stayed under the boat, just right there, just under the surface of the water, under the boat. And then when it was time for her to take the baby, she gave us the baby for that time. She allowed it. Then when it was time that it was enough to take the baby, she came around and she scooped the baby, and they went off deep. It was amazing.
That's awesome. It is awesome. It's really funny. So in reading that, so this is my one wing, and Richard, I don't know if you noticed that, but when I was reading the Mark Nepo, the whale and the dolphin are not fish, they're mammals. So I was like, they're not fish. And I was like, stop, Cheryl, go deeper. Anyway, thank you. All right, Melissa, to you.
I'm so glad you said that, Cher, because when we read that out loud, that reading on September 13th, I'm reading it to my husband. I didn't even get that sentence out of my mouth. These fish, and I said, they're not fish. And I'm like, wait a minute, stay with the moment here. Okay, they're not, maybe Mark didn't know that they're not technically fish. Anyway, go with the feeling. So I'm so glad you said
that. Awesome. Yeah, that's funny. Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks for recovering with us.